All right, hello wine drinking people. Today is December, I don't know, something. We're in the middle of December here, folks. And as you notice, we haven't had an email come out for a few days. We're a little bit busy, but we had a chance to catch up. So I figured it would be a good time to tell you guys about a great value that we've just got in the store from Burgundy. And I know that, well, you guys know if you've been watching the show, Burgundy is one of my favorite wines. And most of you have heard about the killer 2005 vintage, which a lot of our good Burgundy customers collected, stashed away a good amount of these 05s, both white and red, a great vintage. 04, somewhat overlooked vintage because not great for the reds, but very good to outstanding for the whites. And then 07, another very good to outstanding vintage for the whites, but maybe not so much for the reds. But we have got three great producers from Burgundy today, from 04, 05, and the 07 vintage, with prices at close to 50% off what we had offered these wines just a few years ago. Well, France, as you know, this is the high-ticket zip code. And, well, in France, Burgundy's been around about 500 years longer than Bordeaux. And some of these prized vineyard sites they've known about for about 1,000 years. And they knew this area was a great wine-producing region. And even though Chardonnay may not have been the predominant varietal back then, used to grow a lot of Aligoté and probably some other grape varietals just the last 100, 200 years. You saw the proliferation of Chardonnay and Pinot Noir exclusively in Burgundy. Well, one of the consequences of the revolution in Burgundy was the confiscation of vineyards from the church and to the Republic, and then they were fragmented into small plots, and the Napoleonic Code caused this to be fragmented even further. And today, you have a producer like Domaine Colin-Deleger, Michel Colin-Deleger, which we have had in the store for years, and that's this producer right here. And then you have, well, when he decides he's going to move on and retire, he's got two sons, Bruno and Philippe, which now makes up the Domaine that used to be Michel Colin-Deleger. But Michel still has some vineyards, I guess, in terms of retirement. He's decided that, you know, he doesn't want to leave the industry entirely because he still makes a little bit of wine out of this. And then his two sons, a very interesting interpretation of the same exact grapes, the same exact vineyard sites with two different guys making the wines. Well, the 2004 vintage wine we have, as I mentioned before, is the parent, Michel Colin-Deleger, and this wine is the Henri Premier Cru Chassagne. Chassagne Montrachet and Polligny Montrachet, probably the two most famous vineyards in all of Burgundy for whites, and a lot of people don't realize they do make a lot of red also in Chassagne. We got a red from Bruno Colin, the 07 vintage, on this offering. And, well, the most famous vineyard that they share is the Grand Cru Montrachet. And this happens a lot in Burgundy where the village wines will tag on the name to the end of the village of the most famous Grand Cru. So Montrachet in both Chassagne and Polligny, thus Chassagne Montrachet and Polligny Montrachet. Okay, well these wines are all from Chassagne. Chassagne to me tends to drink better when young. They don't need quite as much age. And this 04 vintage, you have some nice hints of anise, spice, little whetstone-like minerality, pears, and lemon drop candy showing here. Lovely citrus fruit, and a touch of mint in the bouquet. Really nicely focused and balanced on the tongue with some zesty citrus and whetstone minerality. A nice long finish. This wine's still got a ways to go, I'd imagine, if you want to cellar it longer. The 05 Philippe Colin Deleger Chassagne Montrachet Clos Saint-Jean Premier Cru. Lovely concentration here, a little honey character, candied pineapple, fresh buttered toast. This wine needs a little time to open up. I know a lot of critics of 2005 white Burgundy, a lot of people that drink Burgundy on a regular basis say they're not fond of 2005. We'll just wait a few years. These wines need a little bit of time. Or open it up, decant them, and drink them on the next day. I guarantee they'll be better after they've been open for a little while. But this wine had a lovely creamy texture on the tongue and a lovely long finish. You notice some lovely toasty oak in this. This is one of the characteristics of Philippe versus Bruno, a little more oak in the Philippe wines. And then the 07 Bruno Colin Chassagne Montrachet Vergères, another Premier Cru Chassagne. This wine had a little touch of pine resin in the nose, hints of lemon zest and pineapple-like citrus fruit. Very bright and fresh in the tongue with, again, some lovely pineapple and green apple fruit. And the fruitiest but lovely tingly acidity on the finish also with this. Very well balanced, a lovely wine. Well, hey, check it out along with all the other wines from Bruno and Philippe on this offer. I'm your host, Andrew Lampasone from the Wine Watch, signing off saying, remember, always drink the good stuff first.